Good morning. Welcome on in. Fourth hour economics here on a Thursday morning. Good to see you guys. Hope you guys are ready to learn about a little supply and demand. People, I know supply and demand week is kind of hard. I know it is. People. We're grinding. All right. I know. But today is going to be probably, arguably, the most important day of the week. Okay, I'll just tell you guys that right now. If you guys pay attention today and you grind and you battle through today, your life is going to be a lot easier in this class. The rest of the way. So make sure you guys are on your game, right? If you're sleepy or you're in bed, right? Go get yourself some coffee, right? Look at there's Hans on my mug, right? Wake up, right, and get in game, okay? Now, people, is peppermint mocha? Is it too early for that? I think it is. I don't know if I should be tasting peppermint in my coffee this early in the year. I don't know. But what is going on, people? What is going on? All right, so a couple announcements. Problem set 1.2 was due last night. 8 of you guys did not turn that in or start it. So make sure you get that in ASAP. I'm going to post the answer key to 1.2 after the lecture today, right? When we get to Google Meet, I'll post the answer key to 1.2. So that'll give you an opportunity. Let me turn this music down a little bit. An opportunity to check your problem set, right? That's going to become really, really important as we're going through supply and demand, right? It's a lot of these problem sets, like these one-day little assignments, right? So in order to understand, do you know what's going on, supply and demand, right? Are you doing things right? You have to be checking your answer keys, right? When I post them. So, and also you got to be turning your problem sets in on time. Honestly, I'm already hearing Christmas music. Yeah, people. I feel like the holidays are coming like too early, right? Like some guy near me has had his Halloween decorations up in like September, right? And then my next door neighbor has their Christmas lights already hung, which is fine, right? Usually people do that early, but they're lit. Not how you guys use the word, but their lights are on all the time, all right? Their Christmas lights are on. And again, it's too early for that. Just wait till after Thanksgiving, It'll be more, more real. It's never too early for peppermint mochas. I don't know. I think it is. I'm not gonna lie. Uh-oh, Alexis already has Christmas decorations up. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Alright, people. Alright, let's get to some of your attendance in the chat today. I thought this was a good one. Alright? It says, if aliens landed on Earth tomorrow and offered to take you home with them, right, would you go and explain your decision? Alright? And just you, right? No one else. You can't bring your friends, your family, and all that. Like, just you. Hold on. You have to explain. Alright, you can't say yes or no. That's boring. Give me why? Why would you do it? Or why would you refuse such an opportunity? Alright? Put it in the chat. Attendance in the chat. Like says yes, a once in a lifetime experience. And it might be the only one. You might not come back. Gabriel says, yes, why not? Why not? We're not leaving a lot here on Earth, I guess. No, because I would miss my family. See, I think that'd be the big one, right? For me, it'd be my dog, right? I'd say goodbye to Hans. And my wife, of course, right? But, my dog, it'd be tough. It'd be really tough. Yes, there are aliens, and if I live, what a cool story I would have. I mean, yeah, you'd be like the world ambassador to the outside world, right? It'd be crazy. Yes, because they could take me somewhere awesome. Yes, because our planet is dying. I don't have to go to school. That's one of the reasons you don't have to go to school. You aren't going to school right now. You're in your room. I'm single, so no need to be upset about leaving someone behind. This world is anxiety-inducing. I hear you on like the last thing, and probably the third to last thing too, right? Like high school relationships, right? pattern, right? Yeah. Yes, because nobody has ever done it before, allegedly, right? Yes, because there's nothing here. Jeez, man, you guys are pessimistic about the world we live in right now, aren't you? Yes, because space is cool. Yeah, it sounds fun. All right. Yes, because it could be fun. Oh my gosh. All right. It says, all right, if they were giving me cool technology and letting me head home on my own terms, I'll even consent to certain experiments. Okay. But if they were like mean, then I would say nah. Erwin. It depends if I get to come back. I know, but it's the thing though. It's like you don't know, right? You can't communicate. Hey, people, you guys should watch the movie called Arrival. Watch the movie called Arrival. It's really, really good. It's called Arrival. Watch that movie. I think it's on Netflix. It might be. You know, anybody who else has seen that, it's a really good movie. It's like if aliens came to Earth, like what would the interaction look like? It's not like crazy. I mean, it's sci-fi, of course, but it's not like unrealistic stuff. It's pretty well done. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. You guys should give it a watch. The whole movie is like, if aliens came, like how would we communicate with them, right? Like how would we form some sort of like common language to communicate with them, to know their intentions on why they're here. Yeah, that's the whole point of the movie. Everyone, yeah, they can't communicate. So like, how do we know? You know, if they're here for good reasons or bad reasons, and what do they want, right? It's pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen that movie, I would definitely recommend seeing that movie. Definitely go, because I'm very fast in space, and people, I would go. I would go for sure. I would go. I'm with you guys. I would take the chance. I would really, try to get Hans to go with me. I'd ask them. I'd be like, hey, don't you guys want to see like a dog, like a an earthly animal, right? Like what, get both of us. Yeah, District 9's good. I'm telling you, Arrival is a much better movie. Arrival is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. I showed it to my AP Micro juniors when the seniors left in school like 2 years ago, and they all were like, that was like one of the craziest movies I've ever seen. I can't believe you've never even heard of that before. It's good. It's good. But all right, people, let's move on. Let's get to what you guys came here for, right? A little supply and demand, right? Isn't that what you guys want? A little supply and demand? I can give you a little supply and demand. All right. So people, the big thing is make sure you're turning your problem sets in. All right? Make sure you're turning your problem sets in. I don't think it's a huge ask, right? It's like, 10 minutes of work maybe, and you get 2 days to do it. All right? Get your problem sets in. And remember, right, we are going to take a formal test, right? Whatever formal means anymore, but there's not going to be a project performance assessment like there has been in this class, right? I think your two assessment grades were, the political cartoons activity, and then the playlist activity, like where you had to find songs and kind of relate it, right? For supply and demand, it's going to be a formal test on Go Formative, so you guys got to be in the game here. You got to be paying attention. Hope we get some economic examples involving aliens today. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'll teach aliens about supply and demand, though, for sure. They'll need it. All right, people. Oops. I went a little too far. I want to be here. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to put supply and demand together. Oh, actually, hold on, people, real quick. I apologize. One second. Go to the beach house real quick. One second here. Check my email one last time. Okay. All right. So yeah, today we're going to put supply and demand together. All right. So hopefully by this point, all right, it is very, very important that if you are given a demand shifter, right, like a scenario that involves demand, you can correctly identify, which direction to move demand. Does demand increase or does demand decrease given one of those shifters, right? It's very important that if I give you a supply scenario, a supply shifter, that you can correctly move supply in the right direction and identify it is supply increasing or decreasing. What's up, Caitlin? Hey, Caitlin, if aliens came to Earth today and offered to take you to the outside world, right, to outer space, would you go? Why or why not? Okay. But it's very, very important you move supply and demand in the right direction, right? That's what we spent the last 3 days on, right? That you have to be able to do that. We're not revisiting that by any means, okay? All right, so what we're going to do today is obviously you're going to have those skills. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you have to identify, is it supply or is it demand? And is that curve going to increase or decrease? How to graphically illustrate that, and then most importantly, be able to identify what is going to happen to the price of the good and the quantity of the good. Yeah, I think we're all on board. All of us pretty much want to go. We don't want to leave behind family, but, you know. All right, so, yeah, we're putting supply and demand together. All right, so people, what we have here is a demand schedule, right? We talked about what a demand schedule and a supply schedule is. It's basically just, you know, at these prices, how much do people want to buy? And at these prices, how much do people want to produce, right? So if we plot that demand curve on here and we plot that supply curve on here, we notice that these two curves are always going to intersect at some point, right? And where these curves intersect is called market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. It's where supply and demand intersect graphically. And what equilibrium tells us is at what price is there going to be the equal amount of product brought to market and what's going to be, you know, equal to how much people actually want to buy. So if you look here, right, the price is $3. If producers charge $3 for this good, right, it is going to be perfect, right? It's called 100% market efficiency here. What's going to happen is if they charge the price of $3, people are willing and able to buy 30 units at $3, and producers are going to bring 30 units to market. In other words, there's going to be no shortage and there's going to be no surplus. That's what equilibrium means. Equilibrium means quantity demanded and quantity supplied are going to be equal to one another. And that's always going to occur where supply and demand intersect, right? X marks a spot. Okay? So let's run through some scenarios if in this market the equilibrium price is not charged. Uh-oh. Am I still here, people? My thing froze. Yeah, I'm still here, right? All right. So if producers do not charge the equilibrium price, let's say they charge a price of, you know, $4, right? And if they charge a price of $4, notice this. We are going to be operating at something called disequilibrium. It just lagged a lot, really. Are you just saying that? Disequilibrium is where quantity demand and quantity supply do not intersect, right? So if you notice, right, $4, we're only going to get 20 units that are going to be demanded, right? People are going to be willing and able to buy 20 units. And at $4, people are producer only willing and able to bring 40 units to market, right? Well, not only, but they're willing to bring more, right? So what's going to happen is we're going to have, in this case, a surplus, right? A surplus. Gotcha. That's weird. That's never happened before. Yeah. So look at it, right? Because when price increases from 3 to 4, you're going to notice that the law of demand and the law of supply is going to set in, right? When price increases, the law of demand states that people are going to buy less, right? If price goes from $3 to $4, people, instead of buying 30 units, are only going to want to buy 20 units. However, when price increases, we move along our supply curve this direction, right? And when price increases, the law of supply states that quantity supplied is going to increase, right? So this is going to cause disequilibrium. This is going to cause a surplus to occur. We're going to have too much brought to market than people actually desire, than that people actually want to buy. Yeah, people, yeah, if it ever, like, always make sure, real quickly, you guys are, like, kind of hung up on that, right? If you ever experience a stream lag, like, click this button right here, this live button, that should be red. If it's gray, that means you're, like, really far behind. Right, see that, like, little red thing right there on my little TV there, right? Or actually, you can see it better here, right there. Click that live button. All right, it should be red. Anyway, moving on. Don't get distracted about my lag. All right. All right. So yeah, that's the idea of disequilibrium. So what you have to do is identify, is a surplus or a shortage going to occur? And if I give you numbers on the graph, right, you have to identify the amount of the surplus or the shortage. So in this case, we're going to have a surplus of 20 units. And how did I know that, right? Well, again, at a price of $4, people only want to buy 20 units because that's my demand curve. See that? At a price of 4, it hits my demand curve here. So this is gonna be my quantity demanded. This is how much people want to buy. This is how much people are willing and able to buy at a price of $4. They only want to buy 20 units. However, at $4, boom, right, it hits my supply curve here, and that represents quantity supply. So we're gonna get 40 units brought to market, right? So 40 units are brought to the grocery store. People are only gonna buy 20 of those units. There's gonna be 20 other units that are just sitting on the shelf that are gonna expire, that there's a surplus. And what do you think they're gonna do, right? What do you think is gonna happen? What do you think the producer would do if they're experiencing a surplus? People are clearly not buying as much as has been brought to market. They're going to have to lower the price. That's what any business does, right? That's what you would do if you're operating a lemonade stand. Everyone's driving by your lemonade stand. No one's buying your lemonade, right? It's getting all like hot and stuff. It's not cold any longer. Your ice cubes are melting, right? Yeah, you'd lower the price, right? You'd be like, clearance, right? Sale, right? Come on in. Buy my lemonade. It's super cheap, right? We lower the price, okay? So let's say we lower the price too much, right? Because we just don't really know the equilibrium price. We don't really know how much, what price to charge and where it's going to be equal to how much we're going to bring to market and how much people actually want to buy. So we lower the price to $2. Well, here we lower the price a little bit too much, and when we lower the price to $2, right? Draw your price going all the way over, boom, right? And it hits my supply curve here. So since it hits my supply curve here, I'm going to label this quantity supply, and what that means is at a price of $2, our supply curve states that only 20 units are going to be brought to market at such a low price. Producers don't have a lot of incentive to produce and sell at only a low price of $2. However, at $2, that's a bargain for consumers. Consumers are like, you know what? My demand curve's here, right? I'm willing and able to buy 50 units at a price of $2. So obviously we're going to have a shortage. The price is way too low. We're not going to get enough brought to market, and people are willing to buy a lot at such a low price. In this case, we're going to have a shortage of 30 units. That would be the amount of the shortage, right? Quantity supplied is here, quantity demanded is here, right? People want 30 units more than what's actually going to be brought to market, all right? Say we lower the price even more, all right? Well, this would cause a massive shortage, right? Because at $1, my quantity supplied is only 10 units, and at $1, people want to buy a lot, 80 units. In this case, the shortage would be 70 units. So that's the idea. When there is a surplus, producers, no one has to tell them, right? Producers are naturally going to begin to lower prices if they notice that people aren't buying as much as is being brought to the market. And then obviously if there's a shortage occurring, people are standing in line, and businesses and producers are running out of product, right? They're going to have to increase the price. I know. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, right? So that's called the market clearing price. If price is too low, producers are naturally going to increase the price, right, to deal with the shortage. If price is too high, naturally producers are going to lower the price, and it goes back and forth until we get to that equilibrium price. And people, that is called the invisible hand. The invisible hand, right? Adam Smith, the founder of economics, 1776 said, buyers and sellers seeking their own self-interest, right? Sellers trying to make money, buyers trying to get the good that they want at the lowest price possible, are naturally going to come together at the price and quantity that is most efficient in the market, right? And there's going to be no surpluses or shortages is the idea, right? In the market shown in the graph above, at a price of $5, there will be a surplus, right? Price is too high, there's going to be a surplus, and what's eventually going to happen is price will eventually fall, is the idea, okay? All right, so people, what we need to do next, right? So what we just did there, right? That's just if price changes, what happens, right? Are we gonna have a surplus? Are we gonna have a shortage? Where's our disequilibrium, right? What we're gonna do now is identify if there's a shift of demand or supply, not price changing, but there's a shift of supply or demand, a change in demand or a change in supply. What's gonna happen to price and quantity? All right, where's our new equilibrium going to be at? All right, so make sure you guys are paying attention to this. I'm going to talk about the why first, and then we're going to get to some practice afterwards. All right, so here we go, right? We're analyzing the burger market once again, and people, today on your problem set, I would heavily encourage, like I can't really enforce it, but like I would otherwise, right? If you were in a classroom right now, I would make you guys draw a graph, but I kind of don't really have that ability in the current moment. But what I would encourage you guys to do is have a separate sheet of paper, like a blank sheet of paper or whatever, and draw the graphs on that sheet of paper in order to answer the questions that are going to be on the problem set. All right. So when you draw your graph, people, you have to draw your graph. I'm not going to lie, you have to, or it'd be really, really hard to answer these questions without drawing a graph in your head. All right. It just is, right? Just not knowing supply and demand, for only a couple days, right? It's going to be hard without graphing it. So people, I'm not going to lie, you have to be able to do this. All right. Oops. So what I want you to do is just draw your graph, and you can label this P and label this Q, and then downward sloping demand, upward sloping supply, and then where X marks a spot, I want you to label that price equilibrium, because we're on the price axis over here, PE, and label this QE. All right, that stands for equilibrium. We just talked about the concept of equilibrium. At that price, quantity demand is going to be equal to quantity supply. There's not going to be a surplus or a shortage. All right, just label it PE and QE. It really is what it's going to mean to you is this is the starting price and the starting quantity before there's a change to the market. All right, so let's say demand increases in this market, right? Incomes go up, and this is a normal good. Market size increases, right? There's more population. The price of a substitute good increases in price. The price of a complement good goes down in price. The price of an inferior good, or this is an inferior good, and incomes go down, right? All those different demand shifters, let's say demand increases, all right? So I'm going to draw an increase in demand, right? On your problems today, there's always going to be a change, right? I want you to draw the new change. And when you draw that change, whether it's demand or supply, remember, if it's demand and it's an increase in demand, I'm going to draw it to the right. If it's a decrease in demand, upon reading that scenario, draw a new demand curve and draw it to the left, right? If it's an increase in supply, you would draw a new supply curve and you would draw that to the right, okay? And then if you read this scenario and you're like, oh, that's going to cause less supply, that's going to cause a decrease in supply, right? Remember, you're going to shift that to the left, okay? And then just label those new curves, D1 or S1 or D2, right? Just make sure you know that that's the newer curve. That is the most important thing, and that's what I would expect you to be able to do up until this point after spending 3 days on it and 2 problem sets, right? I hope if you're given a scenario, you can identify does demand increase, decrease, does supply increase, decrease, and be able to draw that change, right or left, okay? All right. So here's what happens here, right? After you draw your change in demand, right? I'm going to show you a quicker way to solve the question, right? To actually identify what's going to happen to price and quantity. But here's why. Here's why price and quantity changes. Due to an increase in demand, right? This demand curve obviously would no longer exist, right? So let's get rid of it. So here's our new burger market, and since there's an increase in willingness and ability to buy at all prices, if we continue to charge this old price, right? This was the initial price, right? If we continue to charge this initial price, what we're going to experience is a shortage, right? Because at this price, notice how it hits my supply curve here. I'm going to label this quantity supplied, and see how my price hits my demand curve here. I'm going to label that quantity demanded. If producers do not change the price here, what's going to happen is we're going to have a shortage. The amount that people want to buy is much greater than the amount that people are willing to sell, right? They're willing to bring to market. So we're going to have a shortage, right? So what's going to happen? We just talked about it, right? If there's a shortage, if people clearly are willing to pay more than what is being, a higher price than what is being charged at the current moment, what are producers going to do, right? What are producers going to do if we have a shortage? They're going to increase the price, right? They're going to increase the price, right? Naturally, right? We just talked about it. There's a shortage. Producers are naturally going to increase the price. You don't have to tell them to do it. Just seeking their own self-interest, they're going to do so. So they increase the price, and then what happens is this, right? The law of demand and law of supply is going to set in. If price increases, the law of supply states that quantity to supply is going to increase. We're going to move this way along our supply curve. And if price increases, quantity to demand is going to decrease, the law of demand, and we're going to get back to that new market equilibrium, right? They're going to increase basically the price up into a point where there's no surplus, right? And no shortage. People are buying the exact amount that producers are bringing to market, right? So we kind of move up our supply curve and up our demand curve to get to that new equilibrium price and quantity. So if we compare the new to the old, right, here's how the question started. This is all you need to do. You don't have to do all that work that I just showed you, right? I'm just showing you like why it happens, all right? You draw your supply and demand graph. You label everything, from the beginning, PE and QE, and it looks like it takes a while. It takes like 5 seconds, right? And then you identify as a demand or supply. We said it was an increase in demand, and then you just find where the new X marks a spot, right? Here's where the new X marks a spot. Here's where D1 equals S, right? So I'm going to label that quantity 1. I'm going to label this price 1, because we're going to assume that, when that shortage occurred, or if a surplus was to occur, naturally producers are going to navigate through that shortage or surplus, and they're going to change the price, and we're going to get to a new equilibrium quantity. All right, so that's all you need to do, right? You just need to identify as a demand or supply, shift it in the right direction, and then find where the new X marks a spot, where the new equilibrium would be at, because we're going to assume that naturally they're going to be pushed towards that new equilibrium. So all that I really care about, and all that you should really care about, is this, right? What happens to price and quantity after the change, right? What is going to happen to prices of burgers and the amount of burgers available if there's an increase in demand for burgers? Well, quantity will increase and price will increase, right? See how if this is 0 to 100 and 0 to 100, right? Price would be greater and quantity would be greater, right? That's why it's really important for you to label your initial prices and quantities. That way when you change it, you can see very clearly quantity and price is going to increase in this market. All right, people. I want to show you 5 quick examples. This is gonna save you a lot of time on your problems. Again, make sure you're paying attention. It says so again, I'm going to give you a situation, right? A scenario, right? And you have to identify, given the scenario, is this going to cause a change in demand or a change in supply? So again, we're talking about hamburgers. It says new grilling technology cuts production time in half. Is this demand or supply? What do you guys think? Is this demand or supply? New grilling technology cuts production time in half. There's a lot of key words on there. You guys still here? Is this thing on? Very good, Michael. It's supply, right? It talks about technology. It talks about production. It literally has the word production in it, right? Definitely a supply shifter. So that's what I want you to do. Is it demand or supply? And then afterwards, right, is supply going to increase or decrease? Right? Well, supply is going to increase here, right? We have new technology. We're going to be able to produce more if we have better technology. It even says it's going to cut the production time in half. We can make twice as many burgers with the same amount of resources, right? We're going to be able to produce more, right? So since it's supply, and since it's an increase in supply, remember, increase is always to the right. So since it's supply, I'm going to draw a new supply curve to the right of my initial supply curve. Okay? After I do that, I'm just going to find where the new X marks a spot. It's right here, so it's going to cause a increase in quantity, and it's going to cause a decrease in price. And that's the whole goal, right? If you somehow, read on Twitter or whatever, however you get your media, right? And it says, burger restaurants just discovered a crazy new technology that allows them to make burgers much quicker. What would you expect, right, to happen, right? Well, you're going to expect to pay lower prices for your burgers, right? And there's going to be more burger restaurants, right? There's going to be more burgers brought to market, is the idea, right? Which would obviously, in this case, would be really good for us consumers, right? To have more burgers available and lower prices for our burgers. That's the end goal, right? So I think supply and demand is very relevant in your lives. I think it'd be hard to argue against that. All right, let's do another scenario. It says price of chicken sandwiches, and I'm gonna tell you that a chicken sandwich is a substitute to a burger, even though sometimes I order both, right? And let's say the price of a chicken sandwich increases. Chicken sandwiches are more expensive than they used to be, right? Chicken sandwiches are more expensive than they used to be, and you buy either chicken sandwiches or you buy burgers. Is this going to cause a demand or supply shifter, people? Is this going to cause a change in demand or supply? Technically, it's actually both, right? But if you see substitute or complement, I want you thinking about demand unless I specify supply, all right? Very good, demand, right? If chicken sandwiches go up in price, people are going to move away from chicken sandwiches. They don't want to pay those higher prices, and they're going to buy more burgers instead. They're going to substitute chicken sandwiches out with burgers, right? So that's going to cause an increase in demand for burgers. And since it's demand, right? I'm going to draw a new demand curve, and since it's an increase, I'm going to go to the right. Again, I'm going to find where the new X marks a spot. I'm going to label that quantity 1 and price 1, and then I'm just going to look at my graph, right? What happened from beginning to the end? Price will go up and quantity will go up. So if chicken sandwiches goes up in price, right, know that we're going to get more burgers, right? There's going to be more burgers available for you to buy. However, the price of burgers will also increase, right? Which, that's not good, right? And now you're going to have to pay more for chicken sandwiches and burgers. All right, people, here's a special one, right? This is why I've been stressing how important it is to identify a change in demand or supply, or a change in quantity demanded and quantity supplied. In this case, the scenario just simply says this: price of hamburgers goes down, right? This is not a demand shifter. This is not a supply shifter. It's saying price of what we're graphing, burgers, changes, right? It's not going to cause people's willingness, ability to produce and buy to change. So all that happens in this case, if simply price of the good that we're graphing goes down, all I would want you to do is draw a lower price, right? Because there was no change in demand or supply, just price simply went down. Draw a new price, label that P1, make sure P1 is less than PE because that's what the question says, right? And then draw that dashed line going across, and then see where it hits your supply curve, right? See where this hits my supply curve first? It hits it right here, right? So I'm going to label that quantity supplied. I'm not going to label it Q1 because now if simply price changes, right, we're not going to have equilibrium. We're going to be at disequilibrium. That's how we started the lesson off today, right? If price is less than equilibrium price and there was no change to demand or supply to cause that change in price, we're going to be at disequilibrium. So this is my supply curve. See how it's my supply curve, right? I'm going to label this quantity supplied. And then I'm going to follow that price going across. It hits my demand curve here. I'm going to label that quantity demanded. And I'm going to notice that if price goes down, quantity supply is going to decrease, quantity demanded is going to increase, and we're going to have a shortage. We're going to have a shortage, and that's it, right? Price is going to go down. We're going to have people are going to want to buy more. Producers are going to want to produce less, and we're going to have a shortage. There is no new equilibrium because there was no change in demand or supply. And what's eventually going to happen is they're going to increase the price back. Quantity demand is going to decrease back, and quantity supply is going to increase back, and we're going to go back to equilibrium, right? But for now, all you need to know is that if price is less than equilibrium, it's going to cause a shortage, and then you just tell me it's a shortage, right? Unless I put numbers on your graph, right? And then you got to tell me how much the shortage actually is, okay? All right, here we go. It says price of ground beef triples, right? So this is going to cause a change in demand or supply, right? It's not saying the price of burgers changes. In this case, it's saying the price of a resource changes. So what do you think is going to happen here? Is this a demand or supply shifter? This is going to cause a new equilibrium, right? Price of ground beef triples. Is that demand or supply? We're almost done. We got one more example, I think, after this, and then I'll let you guys have at it. Is this demand or is this supply? This is supply, people. This is supply. Very good. Yeah, very good, Lexus. This is supply, right? Because this is a resource. We use ground beef to make burgers, right? In other words, if you read that ground beef goes up in price, would you be like, oh, I don't want to get fast food then, right? I don't want to eat burgers then if ground beef costs more, right? You don't want to make burgers, right? You don't want to go to the store and buy beef and then go make burgers, but it's not going to cause you to not go to McDonald's that the price of ground beef has gone up, right? It's going to affect producers. It's going to affect supply. Like you don't want to produce it, right? And then McDonald's is going to be not able to produce as many burgers, so they got to pay more for ground beef, right? If McDonald's has to pay more for ground beef, that's less money they have to buy ground beef and other resources. They're not going to be able to make as many burgers. So it's going to be a supply shifter because it's a resource, right? And it's a supply shifter, and supply in this case is actually going to decrease. So I need to draw my new supply curve to the left. Left is always a decrease. Then, again, the rest of the work is easy, right? You just find your new quantity. You find your new price, and you just read your graph, right? Quantity decreases and price increases. It's too easy, right? I'll tell you this much. Students that usually struggle with supply and demand, one, like are sleeping half the time, but two, try to do it in their head, right? They read the scenario and they're like, all right, what's going to happen to price of burgers if ground beef goes up in price? What's going to happen to quantity, right? And like they sort of just kind of guess through it, right? People, if you just label your graph, right, and you identify the change, and you draw an increase or decrease, the work is done for you, right? You just read your graph, and you're like, oh, well, we're going to get less burgers in the marketplace, and we're going to pay higher prices for our burgers. Like the graph does the work for you. That's the whole point of learning about the graph, right? All right, I think this is the last one. I'm pretty sure it's the last one. I think we have the last shifter, at least. It says human fingers are found in multiple burger restaurants, right? Is this one demand or supply? Is this one demand or supply? Human fingers are found in multiple burger restaurants. What do you think, people? Is this going to change your willingness and ability to buy, or change producers' willingness and ability to produce? Yes, very good. Definitely a demand shifter. People, if you made this a supply shifter, that's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. We're not trying to use human fingers to make burgers. That's kind of weird, right? Human fingers are not a resource in burger production. Okay, it definitely is a demand shifter, right? If this is a news headline that comes out and says, "Oh my gosh, like we found human fingers at burger restaurants," people would be like, "I'm not going to any sort of burger restaurant at any time soon," right? Because that's scary, right? I'm going to go somewhere else, right? That's going to cause a decrease in demand. Since it's a decrease, I'm going to draw my demand curve to the left, and then again, I'm going to find where the new X marks the spot. The graph is going to do all the work for me as long as I take the time out to draw the graph. Price will decrease and quantity will decrease. We're going to pay lower prices for burgers, and we're going to get less burgers produced, right? Less burgers brought to market, right? Which could be good, right? If you like burgers and you don't mind, like, the rare sight of a human finger around in the restaurant, you're going to pay lower prices for your burgers. Okay. Last example is this. It says price of hamburgers goes up, right? So again, not a price of a substitute good, not a price of a complement, not a price of a resource, not a future change in a price. It just says the price of burgers change. That's not going to cause a change in demand. It's not going to cause a change in supply. It simply means price is going to change. We're going to go to a disequilibrium, and we're either going to have a shortage or a surplus based on that change in price. Okay. In this case, it says price goes up. So I'm going to draw a new price. I'm going to draw P1 greater than PE. I'm going to draw a line going all the way across. I'm going to see where that line hits my first curve. It hits my first curve here, and it's going to be my demand curve. So I'm going to label that quantity demanded. I'm going to draw that price going across. It hits my supply curve here. I'm going to label that quantity supplied. And then I'm just going to read my graph, right? I'm going to notice that the law of supply is going to set in. We're going to get more brought to market. However, the law of demand is also going to get set in. When price goes up, people are going to buy less. We're going to be at disequilibrium, and in this case, we're going to have a surplus. We're going to get more brought to market than what people actually want to buy, right? So that is the idea. Okay. Skip. So yeah, people, that is it. That is supply and demand. That is like the hard stuff. If that was easy for you, that's good news. It won't really get much harder than that. And then what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to add just an additional little bit, a small layer to this. And most of the day tomorrow will not be me talking and me giving you guys notes. Most of the day tomorrow is you guys repping this in another time, right? A problem set similar to what you guys are going to get today, all right? And then Friday, we're going to start elasticity. We're going to change the slope of these curves ever so slightly. But again, people, on all your graphs, right? I would for each question you guys get today, I would draw this graph right here. And again, people, you can just label this like, oops, hold on. You can just label this like price, like just students usually just put P, students usually just put Q. You don't have to like write it all out every time. That does not take you a whole lot to draw for each question, right? And then change it around, find a new price quantity, answer the question, and then draw a new graph, analyze it, draw the change, answer the questions, draw a new graph, right? Pretty simple. But yeah, all right, people. Appreciate you staying tuned to the supply and demand. Appreciate some of you guys participating. All right, I'll see you guys here in Google Meet. If you need the break, take the break. But I'll open up Google Meet here pretty quick. Actually, I'm gonna go warm my coffee real quick, and then I'll start the Google Meet. So check back in like 2 minutes.